On this episode of the Airport Economist, we visit Taiwan, a small tropical island in the heart of the Asia Pacific. How did this tiny island of only 23 million people become the centre of the global semiconductor industry and one of the most advanced economies of the world? What's next in Taiwanese innovation and how it will improve efficiency in the global economy? What are the opportunities for Australian businesses in Taiwan? I speak with the people who can help. Plus, if you plan to visit Taiwan, how do you get here? Who do you see for advice? Where to stay and what to see? We get the tips from the experts. I'm Tim Harcourt, the Airport Economist, and I'm here in Taipei, the capital of Taiwan, a small tropical island of just 23 million people that has become the centre of the world's semiconductor industry. Taiwan is a real surprise package. For a small island off the Chinese mainland with a population smaller than Australia, Taiwan is full of energy and innovation. It invented items as diverse as Connect 6, laptop projectors and bubble tea. And in terms of GDP is approaching the top 20 economies in the world. I'm going to take you on a tour of one of the world's most impressive small open economies that has put international trade, global connectivity, innovation and environmental sustainability at its very core. I'll talk to key Taiwanese officials, business leaders and entrepreneurs, as well as international representatives who use Taiwan as a base for business operations for the Asia Pacific region and beyond in the global economy. Welcome to Taiwan. Taiwan is a small tropical island off the coast of mainland China in the South China Sea, neighbouring Japan, South Korea, the Philippines and Vietnam. Taiwan is an open democracy with presidential and legislative elections every 4 years. The current president, Lai Ching-te, is from the Democratic Progressive Party, who has held the presidency for the past 2 terms in addition to the current one. Taiwan has both Taiwanese indigenous and Chinese people and past influences from Japan, Spain, the Netherlands and Portugal, where it was once known as Formosa. Taiwan is an economy very much based on international trade, particularly due to its comparative advantage in semiconductors and increasingly on renewable energy. Taiwan's GDP is over $756 billion US. Not bad for a little island of 23 million people. Its main export destinations are China, USA, Hong Kong, Japan and Singapore. Its main import sources are China, Japan, USA and South Korea. Taiwan is a member of the World Trade Organization, APEC, and has applied to be a member of the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, or just TPP for short. Taiwan is a miracle economy with international trade and global connectivity at its core. I spoke with the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Francois Wu, about its past success and its aspirations for the future. So Francois, Deputy Minister, welcome to the Airport Economist.
My honor. Thank you so much to give me the opportunity to talk about Taiwan and as well as I think some relation between Taiwan and Australia, since you're from Australia.
Well, it's a great honour to be back in Taiwan as well.
Yeah.
I'm interested, Taiwan is an impressive story as a country in terms of economic development, its institutions. Can you tell me a bit about how it happened, the great Taiwanese story?
I think, of course, recently Taiwan become very famous because of our economic performance. The GDP of Taiwan is more than 800 billion US dollar. People always say Taiwan is a small country because we are an island. But if you look at the population living in Taiwan, the country that look like the most is Australia. We have a 23 to 24 million of population. Is exactly like Australia.
Very similar.
Yeah, but you have a larger territory. It's different. And with this 23 to 24 million of population, in some way, is a middle power. So with our economic performance, I think it gives more and more visibility of Taiwan to be seen in the world. Also because our semiconductor industry now become extremely important for the economy of the world. 6% of the world semiconductor was produced in Taiwan. And concerning the most sophisticated semiconductor is more than 92% made in Taiwan. And if we are talking about AI, it's 100% made in Taiwan. So if we want to talk to the future and to go to the future, you are obliged to talk about Taiwan. So making Taiwan more and more famous. So we are very successful to mix the two culture. Of course, we have a universal value that is democracy, liberty. But what is very specific for Taiwan, that we are very successful with our European origin, also because in the past we have so many Taiwanese that study in Europe and came back and share the experience, also try to bring the good point, the good part of Europe and mix to Asian, we are an Asian country. So I think it's a very important reason that making Taiwan very successful.
Let's talk about trade. I mean, member of the WTO, Taiwan, member of APEC, very successful member of APEC.
Yeah.
Wouldn't there be a logical step to say this is about economies? That Taiwan is an important economy with the semiconductors and other things.
Yeah.
It's important for Taiwan to be a member of the TPP for the other countries so we can grow trade. Because if we have the USA fighting with China, putting up tariffs, then Taiwan is a good alternative to the world.
Yeah.
And so being an important member of TPP, I would have thought.
Yeah. Taiwan is not a small trade power, it's not a small economic power. I just mentioned, if we have a normal international status, Taiwan normally should be a member of G20 because we are the 21st economic power of the world in terms of GDP. Comparing to France, the GDP of Taiwan is more than 1/4 of the French DPP. Trade, we are the 21st GDP power, but currency trade, we are even bigger. We trade more than Russia, we trade more than Brazil, we trade more than a lot of countries. Import and export, I'm more familiar with France. We trade more than half of the capability of the trade of France. For Germany, for example, we trade, if we consider Taiwan only as in the term of trade, we are even more important than Canada for Germany. Not talking about political situation.
Well, it's like Australia. We don't have a large domestic market, so we have to be a trading nation.
Yeah. So if you look at all these considerations, not only Taiwan can play a very important role, but Taiwan is, we need Taiwan to have a better trade system. But the problem is not inside Taiwan. It's just because China opposed the participation of Taiwan. The reason that China opposed every time Taiwan is just because China want to dominate the Pacific Ocean, want to dominate the world, want to change the world order. So they cannot let an opposite model like Taiwan, because we are the two Chinese-speaking society, to show that democracy works in China, and also to obtain Taiwan will help China to control the world. So I think the two key reasons. Other democracies should think about the future. If we cannot let China decide our future.
Well, imagine if China was more like Taiwan? Imagine if a large country like China,
Yeah.
Taiwan's democratic institutions,
Yeah.
the Chinese people with their entrepreneurship, be incredible, right? Taiwan or Singapore, you know?
Yeah. For me, if China can become a real democracy, then there will be no more so nationalism. In some way, China also can be a force of good, force of peace, a force of liberty, if China becomes a democracy.
I notice there's a lot of Taiwanese investment now in India. Is this something that's new, or is this just to do with semiconductors, IT, the types of industries that Taiwan is good at? There seems to be a lot of activity in India with the Modi government.
I believe that this kind of very new partner relationship with India is also very recent, very new. So in the past, we don't really have a lot of bilateral relation with India, but India also is a big, huge scientific nation, and also now India is becoming the country who have the largest population. For us, it's also a very important market. We have a lot of discussion actually with India, and India, of course, hope that Taiwan can have more investment in India concerning the semiconductor industry. I think it is we are moving on this situation. But not only that, I can tell you that because since they have a lot of geopolitical conflict between India and China, and India want to know better China, so they also have solicited a lot of, for example, Chinese cultural understanding from Taiwan. For example, a Chinese professor to go to India to teach Chinese. I think we are discussing this possibility really not only in terms of industrial cooperation, but as well as cultural exchange, political dialogue, and hoping that we have a better relation in the future.
Well, Francois, thank you for representing your country. Taiwan is the world's leading producer of semiconductors. It's an amazing story and the key to Taiwan's comparative advantage and strategic position in the global economy. I spoke to Cheney Ho, Board Director of Avantech, a distinguished leader in the industry who has led and lived the great transformation of this sector. Well, Mr. Ho, welcome to the Airport Economist.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We used to hear about the great transformation. Now we're hearing about the great decoupling from China towards America and other places. Do you think, from your company's sake, you're seeing more production moving to America away from China because of tariffs and other sort of trade issues?
Okay, I think this issue has came along since 2016 when Trump became the president of the U.S. So he put the 25% tariff on all the goods shipped from China to U.S. We also have a factory in Kunshan nearby Shanghai, but we still have a majority of production. Advantage still have a majority of production in Taiwan. In the different with many of the contract manufacturing company like a Foxconn or Isuzu or Pegatron, they put their manufacturing all in China or in India, but we still split the risk. So we have 50 in Taiwan and 50 in China. Actually, it's true, after 2016, the customer keep telling us, we want you ship our product from Taiwan instead of China. But China is still our big market too. The biggest market for Advantech is the US, and second largest is China. So nowadays, our manufacturing, our production line in China make for China. And we move most of the export item from China to Taiwan.
Still to come, I talked to the Queensland Commissioner to Taiwan, who has some special links to the country.
You mentioned about, can we further move the manufacturing in US? I would say yes and no.
Yeah, okay. Yes. So this is the big Make in America push by Donald Trump.
But you know the cost efficiency of American is away from Taiwan. Because Taiwan is a small country, very, very high density cluster for all the industry. But in US it's very big. And in terms of the culture of the labor engineer, it's quite different. But we still do some final assembly in US. For example, we are now constructing a US headquarters in Southern California. So we will finish this campus by 2027. So it's a quite big facility. So we will do the final, means that we will ship the key component from Taiwan or part of from China and ship to US and then assembly the product, final product for the customer in US.
So we've got made in Taiwan, we've got made in China, made in America, also make in India.
Europe, India, recently.
It's a big story.
Yeah, recently, you know, Prime Minister Modi is very, very aggressive. He says some rule, if you don't make in India, then they will impose very high tax, import tax. So actually, we have an assembly line in Bangalore, you mentioned 5 or 6 years ago. And recently we decided, because the demand is increasing in India. So we decide to purchase some land in Bangalore and build our own factory and office in Bangalore.
We're looking in this show at the great transformation of Taiwan, the great story of Taiwan. It's always had a very vibrant private sector and very innovative. How do you think, you know, looking at Advanced Tech's story and the country's story, what do you think has made Taiwan a very successful economy?
I would say Taiwan, the private sector in Taiwan is quite promising. So you know, in Taiwan there's more than 1.6 million small and medium-sized companies in Taiwan. And in Taiwan, there are more than almost 1,800 lease companies, including the lease company and also over the counter. Total is about 1,800. They are all private sector.
That's a big story. I mean, for a country of 23 million on a small island, that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Why?
It's compared with if you compare with the Korea,
yes,
it's their economic mainly dominated by Samsung, LG, and Hyundai.
The chaebols, yeah.
Yes, and if you look at the economy of China, I think majority of their business is from the federal-owned customer. So Taiwan is quite different. So I think that's probably because of the people's culture. So the Taiwanese people are working very hard, try to run business. So that's the reason why we have a very strong private sector.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you think of Taiwan as semiconductors traditionally, but then you think about healthcare. You know, during SARS and COVID, Taiwan's medical technology very, very good.
Yes.
Do you see that in your industry, given that you sell to many diverse customers? What are the sort of new industries in Taiwan that you think are interesting?
Let me take a little long story about Taiwan.
Sure.
In 1970, many of the US company and the Japanese company come to Taiwan, set up their manufacturing in Taiwan, especially in Taiwan. So for example, the US company called RCA, yes, they make the TV here.
Yes. And
the company called Zenith, it's a US company, make TV here.
In Taiwan.
And all the Japanese TV company, Toshiba, Panasonic, Sharp, they make their TV set in Taiwan. So at that time, Taiwan is the biggest TV export country. So we accumulated to train a lot of good engineers in design, in quality control, and in manufacturing.
So from the education system, emphasis on skills, the foreign investors came here, developed Taiwan, but the Taiwanese had already provided the system.
I think one of the very key reasons is that Taiwan is a small, very small economic body. You know, the GDP of Taiwan is 800 billion.
Yes.
We need to go out We need to export. We need to work with the global company. So in the beginning, we make the product for them, and then we design the product for them, and now we become their very vital supply chain partner.
So looking back on Avantech and the story of Avantech and Taiwan and your story, what are you most proud of when you think of the company?
I think if you look back the history of I think it's a story of entrepreneurship of Taiwanese. So we have 3 founders when we are 27 years old.
Wow.
We work at the Hewlett Packard. It's an American company. So we learn a lot of the energy engineer and also the automation knowledge. And then at that time, Taiwan economy is booming. So we see there's a great opportunity for automation. So we start up Advantech. So after 40 years, we become a 2 billion size sales revenue company and with about 10 billion market cap. And we have around 9,000 employees globally in 27 countries.
So do you think that that success you've had and the Taiwanese entrepreneurial spirit can take you Taiwan into the future despite the environment and all the changes in the world?
Yes, and actually I'm getting old. I'm 70 years old this year. So I see in Taiwan there are many young generation. So they are working on either new venture or entrepreneurship. So I spend most of my time in to helping all the younger generation.
I'm sure they benefit from your wisdom.
Yes, yes. I can share with them our experience and also our wisdom, no matter it's a success or it's a failure. It's very important.
The Australian state of Queensland has had a presence in Taiwan for decades. I spoke to Queensland Commissioner Juna Ferret, who grew up in Brisbane but has a special local connection too. So Ms Juna Ferret, Commissioner for Queensland, welcome to the Airport Economist.
Thank you.
Now you're a Queensland Commissioner, but you have your own connection to Taiwan. Can you tell me a bit about that?
I do, yes. So I am half Taiwanese. My mum is Taiwanese. In fact, I'm Indigenous Taiwanese. Mm-hmm. We are from the Taiwan tribe, which is the oldest tribe of Indigenous Taiwan. A lot of people don't know this, but the Indigenous Taiwanese is actually a part of the larger Austronesian family. So it's very likely that a lot of the indigenous tribes from across the Pacific and Southeast Asia originated from Taiwan.
I was attending the Australia-New Zealand Chamber of Commerce Business Awards, and I noticed that Queensland had a number of winners. Have you got a couple sort of interesting Queensland companies that have done well here that have caught your eye?
Yes, absolutely. Ordera is one of them. Ordera is a Queensland company that focuses on tailored hearing devices for hearing impaired individuals. They have partnered with a Taiwanese company called Clinico, and they've done incredibly well here. Another really good example is Green Harvest, and they have pioneered, they're actually the first energy company to enter into a partnership for hydrogen production. They have signed a contract with H2U based in Gladstone, and they will be producing green hydrogen, converting it into ammonia and then shipping it back to Taiwan.
So I'd imagine that the great transformation to renewables would be very important for Taiwan.
Absolutely. Net zero target is both Taiwan and Australia's agenda. It's a key priority. And as you would know, Taiwan imports all of our energy. So as we are growing our AI revolution, data centers, semiconductors, it's very, very energy consuming. So we really have to look at places like Queensland with vast amounts of land for solar farms, offshore wind, etc., to try and bring that energy back to Taiwan.
I was interested, for a Queensland or another Australian business or exporter coming to Taiwan, what's it like to do business? I find it much like Japan or South Korea, in terms of quite dynamic, quite entrepreneurial? Do they find it a pretty open place to do business?
Yes. Taiwan is a very open place. It's a very welcoming place. It's a place that has a lot of emphasis on relationships. So it's a very relationship-driven business. A lot of the Taiwanese people, they're very genuinely caring. They're very warm and friendly, and they'll go out of their way to help you.
And is it a heavily regulated society, or is it reasonably transparent?
It's reasonably transparent. So the Taiwanese government really makes it fairly easy for foreigners specifically to come here and do business with locals.
Some of the businesses were telling me that it's become a very attractive place to base yourself for Northeast Asia, for Southeast Asia, more so than Hong Kong used to be, but now people are thinking about Taipei. Do you think that's a general trend?
Yes, definitely, because of the proximity and also because of the openness. It's such an open and welcoming place, and also it's a beautiful island. And so a lot of people who come to Taipei to do business would stay here for a while to explore the rest of the island. There's a lot of hiking, there's a lot of beaches, so there's surfing as well for those Aussies who miss the waves. There's actually a lot of things to do that's really special to Taiwan.
Looking forward, where do you think the future sectors are going to be for Queensland Taiwanese and Australian Taiwanese trade and investment?
I think there's huge opportunities for Taiwan and Queensland to really build on this relationship. There's a lot of investment opportunities around renewable energy, hydrogen in particular. There's a lot of Taiwanese companies that are looking into creating hydrogen and then exporting it back to Taiwan to address the energy shortage here. There's also a lot of interest around semiconductors and technology. That's obviously where Taiwan's strength lies. There's a lot of opportunity there. Also critical minerals as well, so that's obviously one of the strengths of our state. So there's opportunity to enter the semiconductor supply chain.
I've also noticed that quantum computing is really big in Queensland and big in Taiwan. Is that another potential growth sector?
The Queensland government has invested significant amounts of money into quantum, and we have a quantum strategy to underwrite that investment. There's a lot of opportunity for synergies between Taiwan and leveraging the skills that we have here, and also that Queensland investment into this sector.
When I was looking at Queensland's smart state strategy, biotech seemed to be prominent. Is that the case in Taiwan?
Absolutely. It's a huge opportunity. We have a number of precincts based in Queensland called Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct, and there's a lot of interest from Taiwanese companies to set up lab facilities and clinical trials in Queensland.
Australia has a strong business presence in Taiwan in terms of trade and investment, but also education and the environment. I spoke with Christopher Lim, Australia's Senior Trade and Investment Commissioner in Taiwan. Now, you've been posted all over the region, most recently in the Philippines, of course. How do you find Taipei? Excited to be back here?
Very, very excited. This is a terrific place to do business. I think many Australians may think of Taiwan as a tourist destination, but there are so many wonderful business opportunities. Of course, for the regular sectors like agri-food and education and tourism, it's a fantastic market. But there are fantastic new areas such as renewable energy and hydrogen and the like, which is actually so important to Taiwan and Australia.
When I first came to Taiwan, I noticed that clean energy was very important, the clean environment, the clean air that Taiwan has compared to other neighbours. And it's interesting that it's sort of like a green tropical island helping Australia put the green back in the green and gold in a sense.
There is so much of that, This island, this economy is very environmentally conscious, It is very determined to meet its net zero goals. So is Australia. But currently, it uses an awful lot of fossil fuel. And so what do we do? I think that both sides and others as well, countries like Japan and Korea are also sort of in the mix. So I think together we can find a better solution for the future.
I noticed tonight that there are a lot more Australian tech
Yes.
companies doing well in Taiwan. I also noticed a lot of Taiwanese investment in Australia. Are both true?
Absolutely true, and that's really fantastic to see. As I mentioned earlier, the traditional base of trade between Australia and Taiwan has been agri-food, of course, beef, wine, dairy, fruit, and that's very important, and that will continue. But we're heading into new territory, which is so exciting. So technology. We just had Semicon, which is the world's largest semiconductor expo here in Taiwan. We've got an Australian delegation that came and trying to feed into the semiconductor supply chain. I was just so amazed by the Australian ingenuity, and some of it you saw today. Most Micro does this high frequency Wi-Fi. Halo technology, which is so revolutionary and so good. And it's as a result of collaboration between Australia and Taiwan.
It's a great story, isn't it? An Australian Wi-Fi company being successful in Taiwan, the sort of home of Wi-Fi and that sort of technology. So a good story indeed.
That's right. And Tim, you mentioned investment too. There's been a series of very exciting investment from Taiwan into Australia, particularly in renewable energy, in battery storage. You hear more of that as we go along. So some of it is still in germination right now, but there's already been good examples like Green Harvest and HDRE that are investing in Australia, because they know that Australia is so rich in sun and wind, and they really want to be part of this renewable energy journey.
And what tip would you give to an Australian exporter or investor looking at Taiwan?
They should come here and see for themselves, what an exciting economy this is. This is actually a very open economy. It's open to the outside world. A lot of people speak English. And plus, they are most welcome to come and speak to Austrade. Austrade, of course, is the Australian government's trade, investment, and education promotion agency. We're part of the Australian office here, and we'll be delighted to help Australian exporters come into Taiwan.
Because you've got, with the Australian representative, obviously you've got Austrade, you've also got in Taipei, Queensland and New South Wales?
That's correct, yes, that's right. So 2 states that are present here in Taiwan alongside Austrade are Queensland. Trade and Investment Queensland has its own office here, and New South Wales has an officer that's embedded inside Austrade, and they're doing terrific work.
Great to hear from you, Christopher. Congratulations on your appointment, and we'll see you again in Taipei.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, what's the easiest way to get to Taiwan? Let's talk to Taiwan's national carrier, China Airlines, about their international network and connections to Australia. So, Eddie, welcome to the Airport Economist.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming to China Airlines.
Now, tell me about China Airlines. When did it begin and how did it become the leading carrier for Taiwan?
China Airlines is founded in 1959. So until now, we have 65 years. Currently, we have the largest fleet, including the 777, 300ER, and the A3-900 that you fly from Australia to Taiwan.
Now, I flew from Sydney directly to Taipei. If I was a business person in, say, USA or Europe or Japan, can I fly directly to Taipei on China Airlines?
Oh, that's a perfect connection. Currently, we have, I think, the most extensive schedule between Taiwan and Australia. So when the passengers arrive in Taipei, actually we can connect directly to London Heathrow. And that is both way connected, means backward. If you are coming from England via Taiwan, can connect all our Australian destinations, including Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane.
So you can do long haul, it's not just to
Yes.
Taipei. If you're going to London,
Yes.
you could stop in Taipei on
Yes.
the way over.
Yes.
Very important for Australians to know where they can stop.
And also actually the people would like to go to Japan, Korea. That is, again, that's a both way connected.
So you can go Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne to Taipei and then
Yes.
on to Tokyo, Seoul
Yes.
as
And
well.
the most important one, we have the most extensive schedule between Taiwan and Japan.
And where else does China Airlines fly to? You fly to Seattle in USA, you fly
Yes.
to London. Where else do you fly in the world?
Oh, thank you for asking this good question. Because we currently have 64 aircraft, including the long-haul aircraft that I mentioned, the 777 and the A350-900. That is our long-haul fleet. And currently, we fly 6 destinations in the U.S., including Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Vancouver, and the JFK, the New York, and the Ontario. So that's 6 destinations. And to Europe, we fly Frankfurt, Amsterdam, London Heathrow, the Vienna, Prague, and also Rome.
So what's the thing that makes you most proud of China Airlines?
We have a network, and we have a lot of green initiatives, including we have a commitment to the net zero, and we use our staff, and we have a biodiversity, so we do everything good to the environment. And also, I would like to highlight another point that China Airlines has joined the SkyTeam from 2011, and after joining the SkyTeam, so we have expanded our network. We have increased the passenger service, like from frequent flyer program, from booking, from the flight disruption handling, and also that's a enhancement between the bilateral agreement or multilateral agreement within the SkyTeam carriers. And all of this, that's a good for the passengers travel, especially the corporate travel. So currently, when we visit our customers, especially the corporate, the first question they are asking is, are China Airlines any one of the global alliance? Because they travel globally. So they would like to take the same alliance. So China Airlines is one of the choices.
So now I'm here in Taiwan. Where do you stay? How do you get around the capital, Taipei, and the whole island? And what business customs should you be aware of when doing business? To get the inside scoop, I caught up with Amy Wang, Director of Sales and Marketing at the Grand Hyatt Taipei. Now, when I arrive in Taiwan at the airport, how do I get from the airport to the city? What's the best way?
International airport is not too far away from the city center, and usually it's not too costly if you want to make an easy way, take a cab. And otherwise, you can take MRT. We call that MRT.
MRT?
Yeah, and it's like all the way from the airport to the city centers.
I've noticed the Grand Hyatt Taipei is very conveniently located next to Taipei 101 and the various embassies and so on. Is it easy to get around Taipei City? What do you take Uber or the subway, or what's the best way?
By walking, please.
Walking? It's not too hot?
Yeah, it's a very interesting district. And it's not too far away from each other for all the attractions. Especially start from this hotel, from Grand Hyatt Taipei. You can by walking access to the cinema, to the shopping center. It's amazing. There are 7 shopping centers in the same area, all in walking distance. And the sky bridge connected with each other from one to the other.
Now, getting around Taipei, do you have to be fluent in Mandarin, or is English okay?
Well, actually, it depends on where you are. In Taipei city center in this area, English is totally okay. And you might have a little challenge talking to the taxi driver, but most of the simple words, they can pick it up.
And at the hotel, should you get a
little card, yes.
in Mandarin?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes, correct.
Do people generally go out for business meetings for lunch or dinner? Do they
Yes.
ever go to people's houses or not?
Usually go to the restaurant is the majority, and to the house is most likely, because I think that's because of the culture. If we know each other for like decades or many years, of course I invite you to my house. But in Taiwan, the restaurants, the cost is not that high. So usually, even though for our generation or my parents' generation, they invite, or for the gatherings, they go out for try the new cuisine, try the new restaurants. It's not too costly at all.
How about if I'm a business traveller and I want to go outside Taipei, I want to go to another city, what's the best way to go? To fly or fast train? What's the best way to do
fast train. Fast train from Taipei to Kaohsiung only 1.5 hours.
Wow, that's extraordinary. Because that's
Very
north to
fast,
south.
right?
That's north to south.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
good. And what about tourist attractions in Taipei? What are the best top three? One on one?
Taipei 101, definitely
Yeah,
number one.
definitely.
Yeah, the view from the top of the building, observer tower, is amazing. You
Yes.
see the whole Taipei. Even the daytime and nighttime is totally different atmosphere. Yeah, and number one. And number two, I would say Yangmingshan.
Yes.
Yangmingshan is a great one, Beitou. And number three, I would say night market.
Night market. Okay.
Any one of a night market. Yeah, there's a one very close to the hotel. Walking distance about 10 minutes.
Okay, very close.
Yeah, very close. So this is a hotel. The other side shopping center we just mentioned earlier. The other side is totally very local. The night market, you wear your sandals with the shorts during the nighttime, very chill.
Well, Amy, thanks very much for having us at the Grand Hyatt Taipei, and thank you for making us so welcome in Taiwan.
Thank you, and pleasure to have you.
So what did we learn from our visit to Taiwan? Taiwan is a bit of a surprise package. The population of Australia crammed on a small green tropical island, yet they've kicked plenty of economic goals. They're also innovative, having invented the DVD, for instance, and have built up a strong reputation in semiconductors, healthcare and renewables. They are an open society, a robust democracy and an open economy with great global connectivity. They would make an excellent candidate for the TPP, as they are already constructive members of APEC and the WTO. Finally, they're also a warm and exceptionally friendly people to tourists and business travellers who put Taiwan on their agenda. Here's just a few simple tips. Taiwan is a mix of Taiwanese indigenous and Chinese influences in terms of language and culture, though it's thoroughly modern and internationalist. English is widely spoken as the language of business, and Taiwan is a world leader in terms of technology and communications, so you will feel very well connected when visiting. Business is formal but with friendly efficiency. The Taiwanese are excellent hosts. If you get a chance for some leisure time, do take advantage of the cultural pursuits in Taipei. There's some great museums and art galleries, and the whole island is superb for nature lovers with amazing national parks. Well, that's it for this very special episode on Taiwan. I do hope you'll visit this amazing place when you get the opportunity. See you on our next business adventure together somewhere around the great globe. I'm Tim Harcourt, and I'm the Airport Economist.